Hello and welcome to The Real Deal. Today we're talking about Lucy, the latest film from writer-director Luc Besson.
That's right, the filmmaker has teamed with many femme fatales in his illustrious career, and this time he's recruited Scarlett Johansson for a film which asks what would happen if humans used more of their brain capacity.
Now, is it smart? Is it silly? Does ScarJo kick ass? The answers are coming up right after a look at the trailer. So that is the trailer. It looks damn good in the trailer. However, this film has divided critics and it has divided myself and Amon
The
in
right
how
side
we film.
and the wrong side. Yeah.
Well, it's debatable. The good side and the bad side. So what we're going to do is I'm going to let Amon lead with what he thinks is really good about this, and then I'm going to tell you what I thought was really bad about this film. So let's start with the good.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything good about this film sort of begins and ends with Scarlett Johansson. She is fantastic from the opening scene all the way through. The way that she sort of changed her facial sort of expression from, there's a clear shift in the film, you'll recognize the scene. But it was very, very impressive. But even in the opening 20-30 minutes when she's sort of showing fear, it's very, very impressive. I put it right up there with Tom Hanks in Captain Phillips. It's really,
it's powerful
really good
stuff. She's a damn good actress. And that opening scene just is phenomenal. It really packs a punch, and there's a lot of close-ups as well, which is really good.
And I like the ideas as well in the film. There's a lot of very interesting stuff. It's very similar to Transcendence in ways, but this is a much better version. And Luc Besson, the writer-director, he really takes the ideas and just fully commits to it and runs with it, which is what I would prefer. I mean, I think Transcendence tried to look at it in a more serious way, and it suffered because of it. And I think that's another thing that I like about this film. And then also, finally, the action sequences, which Luc Besson is known for, when they come, they're very, very, very cool. So there's a lot to like, I think, in this film.
So we've heard what Amon has to say that's really good about this film. It has divided a lot of people, including myself here. I have to say, I agree to some extent that it is a brilliant first half. We see Luc Besson really go back to his Leon Fifth Element best in the first 30 to 40 minutes of this film. And then, excuse my French, it just goes back crazy. It really does. And that's where it loses it. Unfortunately, it loses it up its own backside, unfortunately. I think it becomes really pretentious, and that is the big problem with it. It becomes very cliched as well. The whole concept, which is very similar to Limitless, where you take a drug, it expands your brain's capacity. We watched Scarlett Johansson go through this. Yes, she is brilliant in this. When she makes that change to becoming more and more affected by this drug, she essentially looks like a blow-up doll for a lot of it. She's like, oh. And that's probably the way she's been directed to. I'm not criticising that. But do you know what? The way I think is that if they'd have kept her at 20 or 30% of your brain's capacity instead of pushing it to 100, you would have a really exciting film, because she does some really cool stuff. The moment you get to a bit further on and it reaches kind of closer to 100%, it is just a bit ridiculous. So that's why I didn't really like it, and I think a lot of people share my thoughts.
See, I get it, and I don't get it to some, because I think the whole thing is silly. It just gets more silly as it goes along to some extent. But I like that he was committed to it and just completely ran with it, rather than sort of begin to slow down and, be more serious and try and actually analyze what's going on. Because if you try and do that, then you're just asking audiences to, do it with you. With this one, when you really just run with it and pushing it, if you go with it, you'll enjoy it. I think if you do sort of analyze what's going on, it's very, very easy to pick apart this film. And there's a number of decisions that she makes, which is just like, if you can basically take out everyone in 2 seconds, why are you leaving this guy alive? The final act with the whole Japanese sort of gangsters, they shouldn't really, I mean, it's just, that part is very, very ridiculous. Okay. But, for me, I still enjoyed it.
Well, let's wait and let's give them the real deal, shall we?
Okay.
So you you've heard two sides of the story there for Lucy. You've heard the good and my not so good takeaway from it. It really depends what you're after with this film. For me, I would have loved it to have been one of those really gritty drug crime capers, and that it had so much capability to do that, but for me it got lost in its own idea of being a little bit too overly creative, which for me was a shame.
Okay. Now, I like its ambition, and I like that it's not just a straight up action film, that it actually tries to say something about how far we've come and where we might be ending up, and I think Scarlett Johansson is fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I'm going 3.5 stars. I enjoyed this film.
Okay, well I'm going to give it 2.5 stars because I didn't really enjoy this film and it angered me.
This is what I'm dealing with. Yeah.
So let's split it down the middle, right? Some of you are going to love it, some of you are going to hate it. It is the Marmite of the film industry at the moment, but let's see how it does. So 3 stars from The Real Deal.
I can accept that.
What happens when she reaches 100%? I have no idea.
So that's The Real Deal on Lucy, and we want to know, what is your favorite Scarlett Johansson performance? For me, I'm gonna have to say one of my favorites is her.
Okay.
Which is it's such a great performance. She doesn't, it's only her voice, but there's so many inflections that she puts on it, and it's an incredible performance.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say her.
It's undeniable that she's one of our generation's best actresses out there. She really pushes herself.
And she's having an incredible 2014, by the way.
Yeah, she really is. For me, I loved her performance in Under the Skin. This again took her to a whole new level. The film itself had some really good and bad points, but her performance in it was just amazing. How she managed to dupe a load of blokes in Glasgow into thinking that she is just a girl who's trying to pick them up in a van is amazing.
No idea.
If
that was me, my mind would have been blown when it happened.
Anyway, be sure to let us know what you think her best performance was on Twitter at The Real Film Show. Drop us your thoughts in the comments section below as well, and don't forget to check out our awesome website, therealdealonfilm.com. It's awesome, isn't it?
It's a little bit awesome.
It is a little bit.
That's
awesome.
what I've heard.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Yeah.